Alright folks, today I'm here to give you my thoughts on the second episode of The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, The Book of Carol. Now, I want to keep this review on the shorter side because I'm in the process of going through another move, but also, in case you haven't heard, the entire second season was leaked online, so I will not be giving predictions going forward, just my thoughts on what we saw in this specific episode. And I kindly ask you do not post those spoilers in the comments down below as not to ruin it for others. Now, with that being said, how did I feel about the second chapter of Carol's book? Well, I definitely had more fun with it than the premiere. I think this season kind of has a fundamental issue with the premise from the get-go, as Carol is traveling all the way across the world to rescue Daryl, but Daryl doesn't really need rescuing at all. He's having a great time playing catch while he waits a couple weeks for another boat, which is a thought that keeps lingering in my head throughout each episode. I don't know, him choosing to stay at the end of season 1 was just a bit of a weird writing choice in my opinion. But as for the actual story on Daryl's side, we learn Laurent has been kidnapped by what's presumed to be Pouvoir, who tracked them down to the nest. But in a revelation I honestly didn't see coming, it turns out Lausanne does not have the boys' best interests in mind, as it's discovered most of the people at the outpost they tracked down aren't from Pouvoir at all. They're actually with Lausanne himself, leading to a pretty intense fight that ends with the death of Emile, along with the rest of the Union members that turned on them. I got a couple comments suggesting his bad intentions in the last review, but to be honest, I really didn't think that was the direction they were going. I don't really know why, but I can't say I'm disappointed. I feel like this France storyline needed a bit of a boost with an extra layer of grey morality. But essentially, Lausanne had ordered Laurent be taken to the basement of the nest in secret while they set the scene up to make it look like a kidnapping, all in an effort to get the other Union of Hope members who care for the boy, including Daryl, Falou, and Isabel, killed so they can prove once and for all he was as special as they say. And how are they planning on doing that? Well, they're gonna let Laurent get bit to prove he won't turn. And I'm kind of just sitting here thinking, yeah, I kind of want to see if that happens too, to be honest. One of my issues last episode was that we still weren't fully aware of what Laurent's purpose actually was. But now we know. They think he's immune because he was born from death. It's really as simple as that. I don't know why, but I kind of was expecting something a bit more creative, but it is what it is. One thing I wanted to mention, something about Falou immediately taking up arms to save Laurent from Pouvoir right after being rescued from the same group is a great detail. I just love when characters show honor subtly. And that action, whether the writers actually thought about it or not, makes me like him quite a bit more. But as the group awaits the tides on the nests outside to get back, we get a moment of bonding between Daryl and Isabel that leads to them kissing each other passionately, which I can't say I'm shocked. But to be honest, I've always been of the belief Daryl doesn't really need a girlfriend. The lone wolf archetype just fits him so well. I didn't like it with Leah, and I'm not crazy about it now, but at least it was set up over multiple episodes. But that is pretty much it for Daryl's side of the episode. Overall, a huge improvement over his storyline in the premiere, but again, I just think it's a bit silly he's still there given he had his shot to leave. And still plans to soon, but at least the Union of Hope storyline is getting interesting. Now, for the Carol side of this episode, we see her and Ash land in Greenland for plane repairs just as they said they would. And once on the ground, they would find themselves quickly surrounded by some of the coolest walkers we've seen in a while. In my variants video, I mentioned I adore seeing the actual environment affect the dead, and having them act as a type of walker landmine is exactly what I want to see. I've been seeing some people say the Greenland story was boring, but for me, I really appreciate these types of one-off side stories. This would fit perfectly with my Disturbing Campfire story series. It has a good setup as you're led to believe the woman who looks like Brienne of Tarth is the ringleader, but as the episode goes on, we learn that isn't the case. She hates it there and doesn't want to go with the other woman's plan of killing Carol and forcing Ash to have their babies. So she kills the woman she's been living with for nearly 15 years as Carol allows her to go with them, before she herself gets shot with a flare gun by Ash, who believed he had saved Carol's life. It's unsurprising they weren't friendly, and it's kind of convenient they landed right in front of them, but it's the right amount of twisted that I like. Regardless, by the end of the episode, Carol and Ash finally arrive in France, which I'm glad didn't take like 4 episodes. But leaving Ash behind to guard the plane, she heads out into the ruins of Paris. The cinematography and set design is seriously fantastic in this series. Not even just the big establishing shots, but the little ones too, like when the camera rotates with the staircase when Daryl is making his way up. Paris looks amazing, but I can't help but wonder why Dead City is shot in back alleys and sidewalks when it seems Daryl Dixon is going all out with his spectacle. But that's a complaint for another show. Regardless, on her search, we see propaganda from Janae and Pavor, followed by a congregating crowd who are being delivered food. I love this scene for a couple reasons. Much like how we see in the first season, Paris is alive. There are people all over the city, which really shows how devastating Operation Cobalt really was in the US. And B, we finally see Pavor actually doing something good. They're feeding the people. So far, we've only really seen them act like thugs, so it's nice to see a reason behind their growing support. But we see them actively recruiting, which Carol ends up getting caught up in as she's transported to what we can assume is Pavor's main base of operations. It honestly does feel kind of alien to see Carol interacting with these French plot elements, but in a good way. However, closing out the episode, we get a scene where Caudron is being tortured on the location of Daryl, Isabel, and Laurent. Now, this scene left me a bit confused. If I'm remembering right, in Season 1, Caudron let Daryl go, but it was portrayed like it was so he could kill him later himself, not because he was switching allegiances. And Janae's right hand even says that he doesn't know where they are, so why is he being tortured? I think this is something I missed rather than an issue on the show's behalf, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. But overall, this episode was an improvement over the last for sure, but it's still nothing that's blowing me away story-wise. The most interesting plotline for me going into episode 3 is seeing if Laurent will be bit or not. But with only 4 episodes left in the France side of the story, there's a lot of things they're gonna need to wrap up. I think I'd give this episode an 8 out of 10. An improvement over the last for sure, but still nothing spectacular so far if I'm being honest. I'm still waiting here to see if the World Beyond post-credit scene ever gets followed up on. However, I'm gonna say it a second time, I absolutely love the set design for France. They nailed the apocalyptic city look. But that's gonna do it for me today, folks. Let me know what you thought about the episode in the comments down below. But please, for the sake of others, if you've seen the leaks, do not post them here. The information may be out there already, but we can still have fun discussing each episode from week to week. So, as always, thank you so much for watching.